Awesome. Thank you, Angie. All right. Thank you one and all for being here this evening. We have a quorum present, and it's time to get started. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Thank you very much. First on the agenda this evening is our consent agenda. Obviously, there's a lot in there. Hopefully, everybody had time to look over that. Is there anything that we need to pull out and discuss separately? Okay. Do we have a motion then to approve the consent agenda?
So motion.
Thank you very much. Mr. Garner, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Weeks. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Good deal. Thank you very much. Next up, GCA report. I don't see Mr. Daniels here. We have anything?
No.
All right.
I will tell you that the GCA we did negotiate. We finished negotiations and they did ratify. Mr. Alexander came in and signed it, hoping you guys will ratify as well.
Perfect. So, very good. All right. Moving to general patron input. This evening, before we get into that, I wanted to share a statement. During our last regular board meeting, there was a patron that had signed up for public input, and when they were addressing the board, they began to criticize one of our staff members. I did stop her, but I didn't stop her in an appropriate amount of time, which is a violation of board policy 262, item number 9, which states that the board will not hear complaints against personnel or any students in a public meeting. This was a mistake on my part, so I just wanted to share an apology. And assure everybody that we've updated our protocol as far as in the board meeting. We'll be sharing, before folks get up to speak, we'll be sharing clear instructions on what they can and can't talk about and who to address. So with that said, instructions this evening for patron input, and we only have one individual signed up. No complaints against personnel or any students in a public meeting. No member of the public can address or question board members individually. All statements or comments need to be directed to the chairperson. Respect the time limit given by the chairperson, and a single spokesman must be selected by groups or organizations desiring to address the board, which I don't think we have any of that tonight. So with that, we have Raul Banuelos.
Yeah.
Perfect. Raul, thank you, sir.
Well, it's good. At least we're getting something put into this thing, right? You got rules against us, but everyone's kids. So my wife wrote a couple of you guys. I had a meeting with Scott Eckington today, and we talked about a bunch of stuff. So I understand how this sort of works. He was here, and had to deal with some things. My biggest concern, I guess, is my complaint was never heard. The other guy's complaint wasn't heard because his mother had passed away, so he wasn't able to make it. My wife's just fed up and done basically. My big thing is, do you guys even know what my complaint was? We gave you guys 40 pages. We gave you all kinds of other stuff. I filled out the complaint. The other guy didn't even get the complaint. He asked for it and didn't get it. So, my complaint is basically a protocol thing. It's about the grades, okay? If you get an F during the week, you cannot play, okay? So the way it sort of works is you have to get a 2.0 during the season, your regular grades, okay? And then during the year, we're adding more pressure on these kids. If they get an F during the week, they can't play in that sport. If they get 2 Fs, they can't play in the rest of the year, and they can't play in the next season. Okay, well, what's happening is the computer system doesn't work. So every single assignment that's missing, the kids get an F. Okay, so all these kids are going home, get put on restriction, get screamed at, getting their butts kicked, whatever it is, okay? They have no control over this. The kids have no control. We're just asking these student athletes to show up, get a 2.0, do all this, and now we're putting on that they can't get an F, but the teachers aren't doing it. Nobody's helping. I'm laughing because Weininger is the only one that helped. He went around every week and made sure that these kids were good. But when you got a kid playing football and 6 kids aren't making grades because a teacher refuses to put the grades in, and they're all running around the school going crazy, don't even know if they're going to be able to play on Friday, why are we adding that stress? What benefit are we getting from this extra stuff? You go to the high school, they're practicing at 4 in the morning and until 10 at night. Right? And you still expect them to get not an F during the week or during that. If they end up with an F, we're fine with it. But why are our standards so high? And we keep pushing these kids down constantly. I've been fighting this for 2 years. 2 years, you guys. That's why we're still here. Okay. No one wants to listen. Nobody wants to do anything. You know, you guys don't hear anything because of the fact that everyone in this, you guys are the largest employer in the school district. Did you guys, in the county, you guys realize that? Everyone's scared of you guys. I'm a new guy. They're coming to me. They're coming to me and asking me to say stuff. And I go, I can't say that. I'll fight for certain stuff. But these people, honestly, talk to your friends and family. I mean, they're not happy with what's going on in the school, right? Look at all these teachers they're leaving. I mean, this is an opportunity. You know, he wants to tell me, oh, it's just opportunity, coaches, and everyone's leaving. It's not an opportunity. People came here for a reason. They want to live in Emmett. They want to live in a small town. Outside looking in, it's just, boom, they get beat up. Every student athlete's just, it's more stress, more, you do this. And the other kids aren't doing anything, right? You get a kid wearing a hoodie inside a classroom that gets kicked out of the classroom, right? But I got someone here with a dog collar, or we got a girl acting like a raccoon, making noises and chewing on herself, sitting there, and that's okay.
Well, I wouldn't say that that's okay, but
But it is. It's happening.
That's a little, yeah, I know. I've heard rumors and stuff like that.
Okay,
No,
and I know you guys can do this, but I mean, please, as a board, you know, this is a general thing, okay? But you guys really look into and talk to your family and friends, that with everyone, right? I mean, and see, nobody's saying anything, right? Nobody still came and talked to me about my complaint. My complaint was never heard, and it's still not gonna be heard after today, right? 2 years of this, and I came here and you refused to let me talk about this last time. And now I'm here and you guys are all looking at me, and I turn in a complaint. You guys are looking at me like, what complaint are you talking about? And this is what he does. He hides stuff.
No, we're aware.
So it just didn't matter then?
No, that's not it. And we are aware things do take time.
But once again, we're at the end of the school year. So next year the kids are going to be getting.
And do you know what happens at the end of the school year for the school district employees?
I don't know.
We were here at 5:00 this evening. There was a budget hearing. So it's budget time. There's a lot of different things going on. So I understand your frustration. And I spoke to Mr. Woods just earlier this evening. Your complaint has not gone unheard, and it's not being ignored.
Okay.
It's just a matter of taking a little time. So I would appreciate some patience, and thank you for coming and talking to the board, for highlighting some of the issues and concerns that you have. Because I promise you that's what we're here for. That's what we all signed up for.
I mean, he's asking for 3 more years. Are we doing that? Look, all the teachers are leaving. Everything's going down. I mean, come on, you guys. But I know we're all friends and family, but if we can't do our job the way that, you know, to protect our kids, these are the kids that we're dealing with.
So, Mr. Chair, I got a question here. So I received 2 emails today, one from Shannon, sitting right there, and one from Mona Barnes, sitting right there. I have yet to see an email from you.
My wife's been talking to you and was it Kimball?
Mhm.
Are the only 2 people that called my wife after last meeting. I haven't heard anything. We haven't heard anything.
But you
since
sent
then.
an email out to all of us?
No, our emails to the district. We've been filing our complaints order for the past 2 years. Okay, nothing was ever heard, so we decided to come here and we dealt with what we did. They told us we needed to fill out a 5-letter or 5-line complaint and turn it in. And that's what we did with our 4 emails for my wife's issue. I never heard anything back. My wife gets an email last week saying, there's nothing, we can't tell you anything, but it's been dealt with and that's it. You know, I didn't understand when an executive meeting was, or I thought we were gonna be able to come and talk to you guys, or you guys would actually hear our sides. I mean, it just sucks, man, that my kid had to be more mature than the teachers. I mean, you read it, right?
Yeah, but we're starting to get.
It just stinks that you guys are pushing us out. You're pushing out all the good kids, and you're pushing out us because of what's going on. And
So I know you're frustrated, but I'm kind of irritated by that, because I don't know that I'm pushing anybody out, because I don't know what.
If the email gets sent to the district, are you guys supposed to get a copy of it?
No.
Okay, so
You have to CC all of us.
Okay, so if from what I was under the impression is if it got to a certain point,
So
the board got the email.
So if the community is really that upset, they need to slow down a little bit and realize that maybe we don't know exactly what
You don't know.
everybody's talking
They're
about.
afraid to come in because of the repercussions, and it's not maybe now, it's what's happened in the past. There was repercussions for complaining.
So that's not the case now.
But there's still that fear is still
Well,
here.
then they better get over it, because that's not the case now.
So
Well,
can I just explain just real quick? So everything we talk through, when it goes from a parent complaint, goes to the coach, because our chain of command is parent to the coach. Okay. After that, it goes to the athletic director, then it goes to the building administrator. By the time the complaint came as a written complaint, they'd exhausted all three things. They came to the board. I told them that they needed to do the written complaint. Both complaints were written. We reviewed the initial complaint, okay, which was your wife's and not yours, because yours dealt with grading, which would be in next year. Mr. Weininger has that complaint, and we're working through that. We just finished school, so we're going to work through that grading piece of it. And that was a conversation we've had in district admin meetings as well. So nothing is being hidden by anybody. It just takes time, and there would be no reason to have a grading piece of change until we've had opportunities to really
I just want
address
to be
it.
heard. I just want to be heard. I mean, you're saying all this, but I mean, last month I didn't know, because last month you didn't let me speak about this. So I don't know what's going on, and I still haven't heard anything. So the next option I have is to come here.
Correct, and that's what we're explaining
Which is totally fine.
right now.
Hey, I hope you guys do something with it. I really, really do. Okay? It's just, I'm with you. I mean, I just want the kids to be able to play sports. That's basically it, and then keep them going, right? And we're trying to work these kids up, and I don't know what's going on, you know. So let's see what happens for next year, you know. And we're putting in more stuff for next year. I mean, we did go to the teacher association. We are going to the state board. We are doing some other stuff with this, because it's just I don't know. You know, Rangus never got his complaint filed.
Well, and as far as that, I haven't heard from.
He actually didn't get the paperwork that it was supposed to be shipped to him. Is how he explained it to me. But I'll let him talk on later on his.
Okay.
So, and I don't know, and then that to us just looks like, well, you only did one complaint this, so does that complaint act for last year? So when it comes to teachers and complaints, the last thing I'll give you guys your thing. Sorry about this, but when it comes to teachers and complaints, at the end of the year, do they put them like in a file, and then you have do you go over with the teacher and say, hey, this is it, this is that? I mean, or is there anything that you guys sort of do to? Because I know you guys sort of hire and fire, but don't really punish or do anything like that.
So a teacher complaint, I guess what I mean, if you have a complaint against a teacher.
Yeah.
So exactly like what happened, there was a complaint against a teacher, and I had a ruling, okay? And based on, and Mr. Weininger was involved in that ruling, so we had that ruling. If you don't agree with it, and that's what I explained in the letter, there is the next process is to bring it to the board. The board would then put it on the agenda. It would go into an executive session to have that. You have to ask 3 days before, because it's an executive session. So we would need to know the week before the board meeting that you would like to have that heard. They would go into an executive session. You'd have an opportunity to look at all your
I'm not going to waste your guys' time with that.
I'm just telling you, but that's how it would work. So you would have an opportunity to say your side. The other person would also have their opportunity.
Well, we don't get to say our side.
In executive session, you would. That's
Canon
We
executive.
were told that we were going to get an executive meeting. We never got one. We didn't get to speak at all.
But you didn't.
And I'm not even clear on that. So the chairman is the one that calls meetings and sets agendas.
We were told. I'll have my wife look at her email, but we were told it was going to be set for an executive meeting.
So and maybe there was just some confusion around what exactly.
I never even heard that until last month.
You're welcome to do that. It would be a closed door session, not open to the public. But the last email communication that I saw was the email from the district with the letter, the PDF letter attached. I never heard anything else. So
I thought there was a whole meeting that happened.
That
An
was
executive meeting, because when we left here, that was it. You go, I'll set up an executive meeting, and that's why we had to fill in the paperwork.
no, we can, but I had heard nothing further. So I thought that the whole issue was.
I don't even know if it mattered. I don't want to waste your guys' time. Like I said, it's summer. I mean, you guys sort of know what's going on, but if you want to, I'll leave my phone number if you guys want to talk. You guys have my wife's number, but I mean, there's a lot going on.
You just have to be very careful talking about, especially about personnel, because if it ever comes, they're the judge and jury.
And I'm not. We won't. It's not even. That was an issue, and you guys already know it. I mean, we are pretty.
So you
much.
do understand that if we call you and we talked about personnel, then if there's any decision made, we have to completely recuse ourselves from any decision that's made whatsoever.
Okay. Well, we just wouldn't talk about personnel. We would. I mean, there's issues that, that people have brought to me, about different stuff. If you'd like to hear from me, or I don't know, put something out there so that people can secretly say something. I mean, because it really is. They really are. It's amazing to me how many people will not say something. And I'm just coming from outside, okay? And everyone's afraid. No one knows what's going on. No one knows if their job's safe. It's you guys are dealing with it. But how are we dealing with it is my thing. So I thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Like I say, I got one kid still here. We had to pull another one out, and hopefully we want to get him back here in high school. You know what I mean? And I hope we can, I hope he's welcome back with have to be in a ridicule like he already has. It sucks. And when teachers,
Okay.
yeah.
Understood. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know who you are, so could you introduce yourself?
My name's Rob Unwell, sir.
And
I'm a parent here. I moved into Emmett about 3 years ago. From then, I basically we started coaching with Optimist kids. We
Okay.
started the rookie program with my youngest kid, so we actually added a team that year, and we're just totally involved. My older kid's he's going into 8th grade, and football is his life. He just wants to play football as long as he can. So we were trying to do some stuff, and it didn't go a proper way, or a mature way, or any way any adult should ever act way.
Okay.
So basically, my kid had enough, and he couldn't even be in the classroom with that person, so
Okay.
he asked to leave the school. And so
Hold on.
we took him out, and then we
Sir,
took him to.
hey, thank you. We're starting to kind of get into that area where we were at the last meeting. So
I'm trying to.
I know.
Now it's not that.
Yeah,
thank you.
but thank you. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Rob. All right. Next up this evening, district reports. We have the PER report. We have anything?
Nope,
Nothing.
not that I know.
You say Perta?
Yes,
That
sir.
would be
You
you.
said Perta.
I said PERDA.
It would appear we have something for Bert.
Got lots to say about Perta. Find it. Perta. We'll go to the next one. I'll get back to you.
Okay. That's okay. We'll hold on. I don't want to get out of order of the.
Are we talking about the hangar?
Okay. Perta. At the last permit, we've had 2 meetings. We've had a joint meeting and we've had a individual meeting. The last meeting, we talked about discretionary dollars in our group, and I think we've come to an agreement with the discretionary dollars, who pays what, where, and we seem to be a happy campers. PERTA is partnering with Valor Health on a sports medicine class. They're looking for a general contractor right now to teach construction in the near future. At the last meeting, we had a budget review. We're going to have a budget hearing on June 14th, which is tomorrow. Next year, we will be on a block schedule, which should help in the transportation arena we've been worried about. At our executive session, we reviewed the performance evaluation of our superintendent, and subsequently from that review, we gave him a new contract. So Pat Goff will be the superintendent for the foreseeable future. And the one thing that he was very pleased with is some fellow by the name of Bob Hyde and how great he is to work with.
We kind of like Bob.
It's not what the last guy just said. No, we're trying to establish that relationship and build it. Good things are happening between Pitt River and Emmett School District. So
We like that. Thank you very much.
Good stuff. Anything else, Mr. Jones?
That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Next up, the superintendent report, Mr. Woods.
I'm not going to go through the YouTube video, but we got a 2-minute video spot that we produced. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, the link to it is here. I say something, I'm only like 6 seconds of it, so it's really good, but I see Clark's here, so we probably should run it because he's in it as well. But Emily Garinger does a great job. It just highlights our district, and so it was professionally done. We are looking at vacancies. Our biggest concern right now in vacancies are science at the secondary level and special education vacancies. Special ed is typically a tough one for us to fill anyway. Approximately 700 vacancies statewide as of last week, still across the state. We have this year have had 46 certified staff either retire, transfer, or leave the district, which is 27.2% of our certified and administrative positions, 19 classified out of the 154. So we've had a total of 20%, just over 20% of our staff that have vacated. So we've had to fill those positions. We still have probably, and I don't want to guess, probably 6 positions district-wide, maybe 8 positions district-wide we haven't filled. Science, I think there's 3 or 4. There's a couple of the middle school level, probably 4. So maybe a little higher than that with special ed. I think most of our elementary positions are filled. I know we have some Patriot Center positions we still need to fill as well. We have EMS principal interview set for tomorrow, all afternoon. We have 5 applicants that we're going to interview for the middle school principal's position. State Department of Education has tentatively approved the district's request to use ESSER 3 funds to purchase real property. If we do, similar to the purchase of the district building, doesn't mean we have to, just means that we can. It's a capital expenditure, so it needs pre-approval before you could do that. I requested vacation time just to where June 24th through July 1st to travel to the coast, and a second week of vacation, July 3rd through the 10th, to visit my daughter with my parents. I'll be going to Hawaii for that time, so please let me go with my mom and dad.
Only if you take us with you.
But those are the 2 slowest weeks of the year, really. It's the last week in June, first week in July, so hopefully there. August 2/23, the district will need to consider an additional general obligation levy for another 2-year cycle. That's so next year. So we need to start thinking about a levy if we're going to run a general obligation levy. We'd reduced our previous levy from 1.5 million prior to COVID to 1 million per year. I'll be asking the board to consider another levy for the following 2-year fiscal cycle. As we start to build that, what are we going to use it for? I know special ed has got some plans that we're trying to look at for a 2-year cycle, possibly. Estimating the levy will be similar in amount to the current levy of that 1 million. I think currently this year, if I'm not mistaken, we're paying 53 cents per thousand with the new property taxes. I'm believing this next year's would be closer to about 30 cents per thousand to have to continue on a $1 million levy for 2 years.
Mr. Rhodes, a quick question on that.
Yeah.
Hypothetically speaking, I know there's a lot of concern running elections in March and August and not during the general elections in May and November. Can we could we run in a November levy election?
You can run it anytime there's an election. So
Okay.
that's exactly why I wanted to start the conversation now about running the levy first before we really truly look at a bond, because what we're hoping to do with some of the ESSER funds, the way we have it set up, is fix some of our immediate needs, and then that'll set us up for the bond in probably late spring next year if we can. So does that answer that?
Yes, thank you.
And that kind of solidifies us because we do need to know, because when you start budgeting in March, it's nice to know, do we have the levy money or we don't? Because if we don't have the levy money, then we currently have that $1 million hit to the district. We have to figure out where cuts will be. District grant, Shannon Anderson has a 21st century grant for the preschool. Just wanted to recognize her hard work in that. Amy Burrs, working with the community schools and homeless liaison. She just submitted another grant for a large sum of money. We haven't heard whether we have that or not. Dana Williams, we talked about the middle school fitness center grant for $100,000. And Jeff Ulmer's behind the scenes Air Force tour. Got another one?
Yeah, we have a Dairy West grant. Somebody nominated us. I drafted up a proposal, and we got $10,000, and it's for athletics only, but a Dairy West grant.
Nice.
So
Ooh.
move, long move.
So then
Triple
2 weeks ago, the week after Memorial Day, we had what is known as Peak Week, which is professional educators acquiring knowledge is what we call it. We had over 300 staff attend this training May 31st to June 2nd. This training included PBIS training, growth mindset training, 6 through 12 math alignment, K-12 or math training, science workshops, social studies workshops, ELA. Our library paraprofessionals had an opportunity to get together, in which they never get that kind of training and the time in. And I had it wrong. I thought it was special education at CESTA training, which they did, but it was Aspen training that they spoke very highly of. And so that was one of the trainings that we had. We'd like to bring them back as well. We had Lee Pesky writing K4. We had his paraprofessional training, management training, English language development training. We had this for 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for all staff. And even those that weren't returning, were here on campus. They may be doing other things if they weren't, but we had some that were leaving the district that still wanted to attend these as far as the extra training. And then on that Friday, we built June 3rd in as a building leadership team so they could actually start planning ahead. And one of the big things that I asked my district team or my administrators is come up with safety concerns that they have that are within their building. So what's the low hanging fruit that we can fix? What are their safety concerns? And they've started to put that stuff together and send it off to me. So that was the week right after Memorial Day. Then last week, 18 staff, including all 10 administrators, not all 10, we had 10 administrators, 5 instructional coaches and 3 department heads. We had ELA, math, and social studies. We attended the PLC Institute, which we talked about earlier in the year. It was in Las Vegas. We spent 2.5 days deep in breakout sessions with capacity building, with the idea of working through that, of how do we improve our Wednesday early release time, and with our focus on being student achievement, how do we grow, how do we move forward with our student achievement? Our building principals working with their instructional coaches will take information from this institute and develop an action plan for the PLC development. Members attended breakout sessions that were tailored to their buildings or their content areas. So we had our instructional coaches. Maybe we're going to this training. We had there was ELD training for some. There was math that was specific. There was ELA. Tina Myers was our ELA person, and she was so excited about it. She wants to attend another one, the Phoenix Institute, if she gets an opportunity to. So that was what this last week was. Then we moved into our maintenance update. We're starting summer cleaning and projects are underway. I know Terry Jones asked me today, how's the ABM contract? I sent out an email to all principals. We were only really a week without staff on campus. There's still positives and negatives across the board. But what I believe ABM is doing right now is they're moving from building to building. So a group is going to one building and doing a deep clean there, and then they move to another. There's still some issues. We've got a lot of issues with our sprinkler systems at the high school and cleaning dirty heads and things like that. So a lot of our day shift custodians that we currently have on our staff are spending a lot of times with landscaping issues outside of the building, and then the other are coming in. We are looking at key card systems at Shadow Butte, Carberry, and Butteview, EMS remodels this next year, EHS restrooms remodels, transportation security fencing. You saw that in the budget. A suite gymnasium resurfacing, Shadow Butte and Carberry fire suppression repair, Shadow Butte line repair. I think I spoke about that last month. We have the sewer line to the 1 bathrooms on the north wing have a belly in it, I guess is what they call. And so they have to go in, tear the concrete out, they know where the spot is, tear it out, patch it, replace it. It's about a $60,000 expense. Butteview playground equipment was just, if you do approve the budget, is setting in there. Playground bark. The gymnasium bleachers, which is out of this year's budget, will be removed and replaced this summer. And then as we need them, the HVAC repairs through the district. We do not have the funds to remove and replace the EMS building as it's a whole, but we do have the funds set aside for for individual ones as they break down. So we'll start looking at replacing those as needed. So kind of where we're at. Busy time of the year for starting the month, but any questions?
Very good. Awesome. Thank you,
Take a
Mr.
chance
Woods.
to watch that video if you had an opportunity sometime.
It's really good. Yeah, it was really good. Turned out good. All right, next up this evening, the bills, and I don't see Mr. Kimball here with us this evening. Normally he's our bill reviewer. I looked through the bills, and I believe Mr. Jones looked through as well. But did anybody have any questions on the bills? There were four different bill lists this time.
I just had a couple of questions, Mr. Chairman. Idaho Power, do we bring them in to review our systems and give us some help? I've done it with my pumps and so forth. Do they come in and go through your systems and see where you can improve that? Because every month it's in the $20,000 range.
Yeah, we haven't had that done in years. I know there was an energy audit that was done way back. I think they did it across the state, but we haven't asked them to come in and look at them. But that's exactly where, if you look at some of our big suite system is an older system, and it's an energy hog, and that's one that it may be that we look at replacing the heating system up there and with the rebates that are there. So, but that's exactly what we have, that money set aside for. But since I've been here, we haven't done it.
I would like to see us take one school and see what they can do with it. Because it's a free system. They just come in and audit you and so forth. What is a Burning Roadmap LLC?
You want to give me a little more information?
That's all that was there.
Burning a roadmap.
Burning roadmaps. You paid $5,000 for it, so I was just curious.
That'd be under tech.
What?
I remember seeing that.
And once I see where it's at, we can look at it.
What page was it on, Terry?
Crystal, do you know what we're talking
What
about?
page was it on?
No.
Well, it's B, so it's right in front.
Back to school speaker.
Back to school speaker. So that's the gentleman that's going to come in and give our presentation at the beginning of the school year. So it's a gentleman, Issa, do you want to kind of touch base on who he is?
Sure. He is a local consultant who presented at a conference that we attended in Boise, focused on helping with building relationships and helping our students make those connections in our schools. And so he'll be our keynote speaker at our Welcome Back event, and that is Brian Control, is the last name. And so I didn't catch the name because
I didn't either.
his company is different than the actual name of the consultant.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just, back to what, Chair, sorry.
You're good.
Back to what Terry was talking about. Have we looked at like solar options at all?
Haven't looked at any of that. We can't.
I mean, it's, they're giving some pretty good rebates and it's just an alternative to look into.
Okay.
I think it'd be a good
Be
thing.
worth exploring.
No, I think it'd be good.
Any other questions on the bills?
Actually, I do have a question. We got to have Mr. Kimball here to, or he's the bill reviewer. Do we got to have him here to
Mhm.
make that motion and move forward?
No, we don't have to.
Okay.
Nope. No, any of us can.
This is a first for me. I've never not had the bill review.
I know, right? I need to, as soon as we're done with the meeting, I need to call him to make sure everything's okay. Normally, he's pretty good about letting me know if he's not able to make it. Are you gonna text him?
I'm gonna see if I got one.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get one from him. I'll text him.
All right. Well, if there were no other questions on the bills, then does anybody care to make a motion to approve as presented?
Make a motion, we approve the bills as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Jones, and I'll second. Any last discussion? All those in favor of approving the bill, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Next up, the FY '22 amended budget. Crystal or Craig?
Crystal. Oh, I mean, I could say it. I recommend that you approve the budget as presented by Crystal during the budget hearing.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. We did have was that last week or week before last that we had the budget workshop?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, we had a budget workshop. And then there was a budget hearing this afternoon as well at 5:00 for the public. So we have started Excel spreadsheets until our eyes have crossed. But I feel good about where we're at personally. Any questions on the FY '22 amended budget?
Not now.
Do we have a motion then to approve as presented?
So motion.
Thank you, Mr. Garner. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Weeks. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the FY '22 amended budget, say aye.
Aye.
And thanks for all the work there.
Absolutely.
Just reviewing it was a chore. I can't imagine making it.
Indeed, which leads us right into the FY '23 budget, which we also spent time on in the budget workshop and the budget hearing this afternoon. Were there any questions on the FY '23 budget? Mr. Woods, anything to add before we call for a vote?
Nope.
All
No
right.
changes in the meeting. I wasn't here for the hearing, but there were no changes from our last.
Mhm. Nope. Okay, do we have a motion then to approve the FY '23 budget as presented?
So motion.
Thank you, Mr. Weeks. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Discussion? All those in favor of approving the proposed FY '23 budget as presented, say aye. Aye. Excellent. Informational items up next. The OLA discussion regarding future K-6 or K-12 charter possibility. Mr. Woods.
So we're looking at the feasibility of OLA and what will happen over the course of the next few years with 18 students anticipated next year. So I met with Dr. DeArmas, myself, Amy Davis, and we met on May 31st to discuss the possibility of creating a charter school with the OLA School District. This would allow for greater flexibility for the families within the OLA community, either remaining as a K-6 charter or possibly a K-8 charter school. This was just an initial discussion. I just want to make sure that the board's aware that this is kind of the planning piece. Amy met with parents from up there, has had a kind of a brief meeting, would like some more information. We've scheduled a date, June 21st, with Michelle Clement Taylor. She's in charge of the State Department of Ed charter schools, and so she's going to answer the questions of the parents and see if this is a viable option for them, what it would entail. This is scheduled on the 21st at creating a charter. Because what we're looking at is it gives them some flexibility. It gives them the opportunity, if there's some 6th or 7th and 8th graders that want to stay up there, that don't want to come down for athletics, they can stay up there. And so that can help keep their numbers higher. And so that it's a possibility. If they get, what we talked about is 18 is about that break-even point where we had talked, that it starts to lose the district money if they go below 18. Well, after you graduate out, next year's 6th graders, they're going to anticipated to drop to 12 if they don't have those students. And so it gives us a year to look at this as an option. The other option we just briefly talked about was moving the ERA students underneath OLA, which would bolster their ADA as well. So we're just looking at a couple different ways, but just wanted to keep the board informed that, we're not trying to hide anything. We're looking at a charter school possibility for the OLA district. Or OLA. So.
Very good. Any questions?
Where's that meeting going to be at?
So it's going to be a Google meeting, and I sent the email out today to Amy saying I will come up there to meet with whoever's there, but Michelle's going to come through on a Google Meet. So it'll probably be Ola's at the elementary, but as soon as I know
We Google it and be part of it?
of course, just let me know. I'll send you the
Send
you
it, please.
link. Yeah,
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
send it to all of you.
Yeah, send it to
Well,
everybody. I don't know. I assume it's going to be during the
And then we
day.
have to. We'll have to call it a meeting.
Oh, that's true. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll regroup on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, them two can join.
Yeah, 2 can go. Yeah, I'll send it to 2 if they want to be there. It'll be during the day. It's at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Scheduled at 1.
I'll fall on the sword and knot so that you can attend.
I'll just rely on Terry.
Very good. All right, on to action items this evening. First one up, ratify the tentative 22-23 master agreement.
So we've completed negotiations with the GCA this year. You'll see that all of the changes in this are still marked in red. I believe you'll see primarily you're going to see, well, I guess we did go to black, didn't we?
No, mine's still in the red.
Changes should be in red, but you should have red. Oh, here's the changes to it. So under professional educators, we just, the district and GCA recognize the importance of all meetings such as IEP, staff, RTN, and other building leaderships throughout the school year. All attempts will be made to schedule such meetings during the contracted day. These were things that were put in specifically for last year when we weren't sure what the ADA was going to look like in our funding. This is just why we evaluate our staff and the processes to improve student outcomes. So everything you see in red were agreed upon through the district. There's not a lot of things we looked at language-wise. A reduction in force. There was no changes here. These are all things. We did move up the personal leave from $80 per day to $100 as a payout if they don't use those days, and must be presented to the principal in writing at least 14 calendar days before the requested release time. This was one that requests of personal leave days are discouraged for classroom teachers on their testing days and prior to the immediate following of the scheduled break. They just felt this language a little too strong, and so what we just wanted to do is make sure our principals have enough time to try to get subs in place. Move down to, most of our discussion was on funds and money, which it always is. This was the added expense of our insurance, the 3%. So the district has taken on the full 3% increase to staff. The staff see no out-of-pocket increase from them. This is our new salary schedule. It changed. We worked on trying to put in an advanced professional rung over here, but there wasn't enough people that it actually would help. So instead we came back and adjusted our numbers through here. Most cells when you look at where they were this year and moving into next year, see approximately a 4% increase in their funds, except for right here, this 46,753, and I think one other cell over here. But if you look at our old schedule, they had seen a 10% increase between A and B. This year they saw 1.67, that one cell, and then you see it the rest of the way through. So it was just the way the new, because each cell is a breakout of a certain increase, incremental increase. And before that, it was just a set number. It was, you went from 41,000 to 44,000 to 46,000, which were big jumps. Well, when you go back up here and go to 44.5 and then make that same incremental increases. And if we would have just changed that one cell to a 4% increase, this would have pushed that one up over $72,000, and we just couldn't afford that across the board because it affects everybody in that one. But and then changes here, we added a longevity stipend. So if they've been in the district on starting year 10 to year 14, they receive an additional 500. 15 and 19 additional 1,000, and 20 plus years they get a 1,250. And then if they do have the advanced professional, they get an additional $750 increase. So all those can be, well, you only get one of those. So if you could get the 1,250 and the 750, if you were down here, would be on top of that. This sunsets at the end of the year because our goal is to put an advanced professional rung over here eventually. And so we wanted to make sure this was a 1-year deal in the contract. So it's a pretty good increase. This is how we actually will place new professionals in the system. So if a resident from Idaho, a teacher from West Ada comes in their professional 1, depending on their years of experience, we can either place them in step A or step B, their masters and where they're at, and so on and so forth. It gives us some flexibility of where we can place them, because if we get some good, and we have had some good ones from West Ada that come over, and if we have to plug them in where they currently are, they see a big drop in pay, versus this gives us some flexibility depending on their experience. Employees must be qualified for the BA or the MA qualifications. Initial placement above step K is capped at step M without superintendent approval. So if Bob comes in and says, I really need this person, they've got 25 years and we've got them capped at M, we can look at possibly moving them above that, on a first come, not a first come, first serve. And then out of state, new hires will be placed depending on where the state places them. The state requires that they'll come in and say they're a P2. That gives us where we can move them. So this took us a little bit of time, and we may end up flexing this next year and adjusting it depending on how it goes. You saw a small increase across our school psychs, OT, PT, SLP, and psychologist pay. And I believe we have 3 school psychs. Is that correct? Yeah.
No, 2 and a part-time.
2 and a part-time. So just so you're aware, we do have more than one. And then Appendix A is actually that up there. So it's out of order. That's our contract. The GCA, and curriculum development, we compensated at $20 an hour. We moved that up to $25 per hour. So we feel comfortable. We feel confident we can survive on this. And the GCA has ratified, so I would ask that the board, unless one of the board members over there want to say some things.
This is my second go around at this kind of effort, and I am taken by the amount of professionalism that we all show at the bargaining table. There wasn't emotional issues. It was all straight professional. We did the math, and your school district is committed to doing what they can to keep the teachers in the best position they can be in financially. So thank Mr. Woods and team for putting that together.
Very good.
Sheriff, if I can, one of the questions I get in the community all the time is, with teachers potentially leaving, they want to know what how are we paying them? That's a loaded question because there's a lot of different pay scales. Can you make a general comment as to your perception of where we are pay scale wise relative to other districts?
We are competitive with West Ada. We can't compete with Boise school districts, especially on the top end, but we are very competitive with West Ada. And so that West Ada is kind of that, that benchmark that we look at. Middleton, those schools, they all kind of look at that West Ada. So I don't think very few can touch West Ada because they can levy their own, they can just throw up. I won't go into detail. They have more opportunities than we do.
So I want to say something about that. We're competitive until they have to drive over here to come to
Correct.
work.
Absolutely.
And then we're not competitive anymore.
No, and
Our community needs to know, hear that and understand it. We're competitive pay scale wise,
Mhm.
but until they live in this community, we are not competitive.
correct. Pay scale wise, we're competitive.
I just wanted that to be illustrated if possible.
Very good. Any questions? Big thank you to those that participated in the negotiations. Mr. Jones, I know Mrs. Hines isn't here this evening, but I know she was part of that as well. And then big thank you to the GCA team that worked with us on that. I agree. I was there for one of the meetings, and it was really super professional. It was really, but not cold professional. It was just everybody working together for the common good. So it was good stuff. Anybody care to make a motion to ratify?
Make a motion that we ratify the agreement between GCA and the Emmett School District for the ensuing year.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Garner. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the 22-23 master agreement, say aye. Aye. Very good. Next up, school meal fee increase. Mrs. White or Mr. Jones?
Well, so one of the positives that come out of the COVID were that every student received free lunches for the last 2 years. But with the transition this next year, we move back into having to pay for lunches. And so when you look at typical increases, it's typically been about 5% a year. So we are recommending basically, if you look across elementary schools, last year's fee is $225 for full price, moved to $250, which is an 11% increase. Secondary schools from $265 to $290 is a 9.4% increase for lunch fees. For adults from $435 to $460, which is 5.7. Breakfast fees from $2 to $225, which is 12.5, and then $250 to $275 is a 10% increase. The proposed increases cover the increased cost of providing the program. And so that's where we're at. I would recommend that you approve, hopefully,
Okay,
so that we can move forward with providing lunches and breakfast.
very good. My only question is, I know when you look at the percentage, it looks like a pretty significant increase, but knowing the way that food prices have gone up, commodity prices have gone up, inflation is way up. Is that sustainable for the next year? Is that?
It's a 10.2% increase to meal prices. And what they do is they're trying to balance the free reimbursement from the federal government and what the family pays for the meal. Okay, so right now it's the 22-23 is at $3.31, and so what we should be charging $3.31 to meet exactly what we're going to be getting from the federal government as a reimbursement. We are not. Our weighted average is going to be $270 for this year, and we will never achieve that unless we take a ginormous jump, because every year USDA raises the reimbursement rate, and then we're expected to raise what we charge for that meal. And so we're never going to catch up unless we just do that big, huge leap, and we're not going to do that to our families. The last 2 years, we have been serving universal free meals. And oh man, I have been in contact with our senators, with our representative, Mr. Fulcher, was amazing to talk to. He was very aware that the waivers for free meals ended in June, the last day of June. And for school districts that ended in May, our free reimbursement ended, free meals ended in May, our last day of meal service. There is legislation up to continue those waivers, to reinstate them for the upcoming year, because in our district alone, with our co-op membership, our fresh produce, and we do a tremendous amount of fresh fruits and vegetables in our schools, up 15%. Our food and non-food up 25.2%. 25.15%. Milk is up 16.4% as of this month, and it's going to go higher. Health benefits up 3%, and I'm gonna send all of this to Mr. Jones as the numbers, because he's a number cruncher. So, yeah, I think that 10.2%, it's not something I wanna do, but I wanna continue with the universal free meals for all of our kids. Our high school kids doubled the amount of kids that will come in and have breakfast. And mostly it was that 10-minute break, a nutrition break. We would serve 150 kids during that 10 minutes. And it's tremendous the amount of kids that we're serving at the high school. I want to continue that, but having parents have to pay, I don't know that that's gonna happen, but our philosophy is we feed our kids, we take care of our families, and that's what we're going to do.
Very good. Any questions?
I mean, given what we've seen with food prices do, 10 point whatever percent increase is actually lower than I expected relative to inflation. So well done.
Yes, thank you for being willing to do that, Ty, because just yesterday, however you say that, the Quinnipiac poll said it's at 12.3%. So kudos to you if you can make that work. So thank you.
Very good. And contact your representatives.
I actually have that information if you need the number.
There you
Is there
go.
a bill?
Pardon me?
Is there a bill?
There are two.
Can we get that information?
Yes, I have that. I have the
Okay.
number of the bills and the names.
You know, my son works for Fulcher.
Oh, well, I talked to a very interesting man that worked for him, and he was extremely knowledgeable about our program.
Very good. All right, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the school meal fee increase.
Thank you, Mr. Garner. I will second. Do we have any last discussion?
Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you. All right, all those in favor of approving the school meal price increase as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Next up, the OLA siting budget review and action to move forward.
So I'm gonna let Doug kind of speak a little bit that, but we had talked about moving forward with the bid package, and we asked Doug to give us a preliminary budget. So Doug walked through and did a replacing existing siding versus site over existing. Came up with basically about a $19,000 difference between 209,593 for replacing the siding versus 195,534. That was what we initially needed with that. It also, I know we'd asked for a kind of a timeline. So this is the CMGA CCA approval if it's in June, bid preparation and documentation in July through September, the bidding in September to October, budget approval October meeting 22nd, contracts and procurement October through May 2023, and construction May through August of 2023. It is anticipated the suppliers are going to request a down payment in ordering the windows and trim from Doug. So this is the information that he gave us. It is basically, and then you had asked for the OLA letter of extension, which Shannon did send. I attached that as well from the Laura Cunningham Foundation.
Laura Moore.
Laura, what?
Laura Moore Cunningham.
Laura Moore. I couldn't. And then the last part was can't remember now. Just went blank. Basically, we're at, what was it?
No, I think it was just confirmation that there were funds available.
Confirmation of funds, yeah. And the last I had February's, I think had 204,758. I don't know what they made prior to that, or at their, is that kind of where you're at in the SOS fund?
Yeah, we're somewhere between 200,000 and 210. We paid out the last bill on the fencing, so that took some of what we had before. But we have an upcoming ATV rally coming, and that's going to bring some funds. And I am willing to write a new grant with the Heritage Fund and also a preservation to cover the additional costs.
Very good.
So the SOS committee has approximately $200,000 in their account. The budget looks at about 209 to 190 to 209. The next step would be to just, if you approve, to prepare the budgets and the bids, you still would have final say over whether even to move forward with it after the bids have been opened. So my recommendation, based on the information that's been provided, is that we move forward so we can get Bennington started on the bid packages. So
Do we need to decide tonight whether to remove and replace or cover or?
No, we don't.
Okay,
My plan is to go up there with some good pictures and outline everything that would need to be done for either replacing the siding or going over the existing so that the contractors know exactly what they need to bid.
got it.
We'll put out different bid packages for windows, for the siding procurement, and we'll also make provisions that a general contractor can bid it as well, if he wants to bid the whole thing or just a portion of it.
Got it. Okay. Very good. Go ahead.
In the meantime, we'll put together a specification manual, kind of rules of the road. This is what we did for the last project out there. And it just outlines what insurance requirements contractors are gonna need, the bid forms, and the rules for working up there for safety and that sort of thing.
Very good. Okay. So the motion then in question tonight is just whether or not to move forward.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's why I see it.
perfect. Well, in that case,
One more time, wait a minute.
sorry, go ahead.
So if we're approved to go forward, we will generate a contract between Benetton Construction and the school district, like we did on the last one.
Okay,
Well, once we bid it out to everybody, we decide which direction we'll go, that will become a guaranteed maximum price, and that's what we're gonna live with.
got it. Okay. Very good. Well, then do we have a motion to move forward with the Ola siding project?
I make a motion that we move forward with the Ola siding project.
Okay,
I'll
thanks.
second it.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Thank you, Mr. Weeks. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Very
I
good.
have one question, sorry, Mr. Chair.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Weeks.
How far, what are we looking at time-wise once you get, now that you've got this approval? I mean,
Well, we plan on putting it out to bid around September for an October bid date, approval by the board. Once we get a bid, we'll know what the costs are gonna be. That way we can start procurement on into May of the following year. Because the windows could be 8 or 12 weeks, whatever they're siding, that sort of thing. So it'll give us time to get everything ready. And we'll have the contractors hold their price from the bid date to when we start. Now, there might be some early procurement, window people want a down payment, say. Or we always make accommodations that the contractor can get the material ready and stores it on site, and he can be paid for the material. That way he doesn't have to sit on his own pocket for months on end.
Very good. Okay.
Just so you know, the Heritage Grant, I need to start working on that in September. So I need to have a good idea about what we're looking at for windows.
Okay.
Okay,
as
thank,
far as cost, Shannon, you mean?
thank you very much. Next up, Knife River proposal for new athletic weight room.
So, Mr. Chairman, I was a unique opportunity right at the end of the school year. Mr. Hargett called me up, says, "Hey, do you have a few minutes to have a conversation?" I did. And so there was a representative from Knife River, Knife River Construction is a very large company that does construction all over the country, really. But his name was Tyler Deal, and Knife River met, and we sat down and had a discussion about donating a new weight room facility for the Emmett School District. The initial proposal was design and build an approximately 6,000 square foot building with restroom, storage, offices, and weight room for the EHS. So this initial conversation was the only one I've had with Tyler Deal. We looked at our field house design, and he just wanted to know what we were talking about with as far as the weight room. 4,800 square feet in the weight room, then you'd have restroom, storage, and an office. Currently, our dome that our weight room is currently housed is about 2,200 square feet, so it over doubles the size of the weight room facility. So the process is Knife River's done this in other schools and other communities. They've taken on projects like this. So Tyler presented this to his. Tyler presented it directly to Mr. Deal. I gotta find it. There we go. Maybe I can find it. I had a picture, so there it is. So this was the response. Tyler Deal, we're proud of your efforts with the company and your dedication. Please be prepared on June 28th to present your proposal to donate a sports complex to the Emmett High School MDU Resources Board at 1:30 p.m. So he has the next step. So he's already gone through the first process Our board has approved your request at the cost you've submitted and wants to schedule presented immediately the outline of the project. Total cost for the project is granted. Plans and engineering must be submitted no later than July 17th. I'm not sure. Object immediately concerns must be dealt with according to before. It can submit to the school. Please handle all requests and immediately notify any changes. We look forward to helping students get a better education. So the MBU division has passed this on to their presidents for approval. So this would be an approximately $3.6 million total cost. But what they want at this meeting, June 28th, is they would like a board member to be present and then possibly Coach Hargett. They just like the board members to discuss the fact that, one, we've gone after bonds for facilities and pieces before, and they've been turned down. What our need is within the facilities. And so I asked Mr. White if he'd be able to attend that, and Coach Hargett said he would go at 1:30. But I've just asked for the board approval. Anything that they do would come back for board approval. So and again, just possible discussions when we looked at this is he asked where could it go, either in this area here and or where we had talked about the field house. Those things are still up for debate, just whether they would fit somewhere in these areas. We want them to be close enough to the locker room facilities. If you put them over on a practice field over here, then they have to walk through. So these are the two areas we felt were feasible. This project would be funded by Knife River, but they want to make sure that the board would be supportive of, if the county or if the city said this is what we need for building permits, would you be willing to support with changes or things like that? And so that's kind of the direction. It's an opportunity. All we're asking you to do is allow Coach White, I'm asking you to allow Coach White, Chairperson White,
I knew who you
and
meant.
Coach
That's
Hargett to represent the school district in this meeting on June 28th and answer their questions, so we can see if this is something that could happen for the Emmett School District. So.
Very good. Any
That's awesome.
questions?
Yeah.
I just got one question.
Mm-hmm.
So I've actually been on projects like this. So just moving forward, being on site, you're going to lose your bus lane for the whole year, or you're going to lose all that parking for a whole year. We just need to take that into consideration because you're going to lose it for all your sporting events, not just for the kids parking there.
Mhm.
So that needs to be taken into consideration moving forward,
And
because it's all going to be chained off. They're all going to get vetted. They're all going to have to pass background checks, just like I did. They're going to have to, they'll be scrutinized even more now. And so we just need to be aware of that moving forward.
Yep.
And these are just two proposed ideas. There might be a better spot that they come and say this would be a better spot to put it.
I'm all for it. I want you guys to be aware of that we will lose all that parking or our bus lane for a whole year.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Do we have a motion then to allow myself and Mr. Hargett to represent the school district on June 28th at the Knife River meeting?
So motion.
Thank you, Mr. Weeks. Do we have a second?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Garner. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Very good. Next up, purchase of real property.
So this has caused a little bit of angst in the community, I can tell, but basically, whenever the school district purchases any type of property, there needs to be an action item. So one of our priorities within the school district is finding a permanent home for either Black Canyon or for Black Canyon Alternative School. It's been one that we've talked about for quite some time. This year, we were told that the Presbyterian Church on 3rd Street was looking at possibly being sold and or leased. We had anticipated our pre-K to 3rd grade enrollment for this next year. If you look at all that, is at 232 students within this building. That's 36 in the developmental program, 36 in our new preschool program, plus the rest being the K-3. Black Canyon enrollment's estimated at 110. We've currently, after this year, we would pretty much maxed out on this side. As far as where we are. And if we end up with 2 3rd grade teachers, we're going to push another one over to the other side. So I reached out to the owners actually at First Presbyterian Church on 3rd Street to see, this spring to see if they would entertain leasing or selling the property. Initially, we were looking at it as a home for the preschool program because it used to be our preschool program. But then we started to look at it. The church leadership did contact the school district and said they would entertain an offer from the school district. They've had multiple suitors that have said they're interested in this piece of property, but they would like to see it sold to the schools because they think we do God's work into the public school system. So the next step is I went through where could we find money to do that. And so to use ESSER funds, just like we did to purchase the district office, you have to go through the State Department of Ed and you have to give them a proposal that says, this is what we would like to spend money on. Does this fit the requirements? The State Department did send back final approval on that. They said we have to just watch one thing, which is that we're spending money at an equal amount for at-risk students. So that'll be something that Crystal and I would have to really sit down and look at if we move forward. Idaho code defines the process for purchasing property. Any negotiated agreement would still require board approval and must meet the parameters of 33601 and the needs of our district. So I'm asking the board to give me or the superintendent to negotiate with the owners of the property regarding sales, price, contingencies, and inspections of said property. If an agreement can be reached, to bring such an offer to the board for review and approval or denial. So the piece of property that we're looking at is on 3rd Street. It's this building here. Again, there's a lot of red tape we have to look at. We have to look at, can we put the portables that are currently out here, can we move the portables here if we make it into Black Canyon Alternative School, or do we make this into just the preschool setting? This is the entire block. It's what they have for sale. And then this is the code for purchase of real property, that the steps we must go through. All I'm asking for tonight is if the board would like me to move forward with and the discussing and looking at a negotiated agreement that we could bring back to the board at a later date. So.
Very good. Questions? I think this would be a really good thing, and I recognizing that it could be either the alternative school or a preschool. I would love to see Black Canyon have a long-term permanent home of their own. I think that would be really, really a positive thing. I'm super supportive of this.
I mean, obviously depends on the price, but yeah, generally speaking, we're struggling to get a bond done. So anything we can do to create more space in our existing buildings and, obviously free up space in this building or anyway, depending on the price, I'm a big fan of the idea.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Cool.
I'm all for it.
All right. Would anybody care to make a motion?
I'd like to motion to allow our superintendent to negotiate on the school's behalf to bring a proposal back to us depending on details.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Garner. Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Any last discussion? All those in favor of allowing Mr. Woods to negotiate on the school district's behalf for the purchase of real property, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Did you say aye?
Mm-hmm. Aye.
You did? Okay, I missed it. Sorry.
Sorry.
Very good. All right, next up, new hires and job changes for certified employees.
So we'd like to release these, they resigned at the end of the year, but release the contracts for the resignations of the teachers you have listed above. We have 2 transfers, and there's going to actually be more transfers, I believe. Well, no, I don't know. 2nd grade, I think we have, is on the list as well from Carberry and Hurd. And these are the new hires in each of our buildings as well. So these are the replacements for the ones above. So.
Very good. Any questions? Do we have a motion then to approve the new hires and job changes as presented?
So motion.
Thank you, Mr. Garner. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Last up this evening, alternative meeting dates.
Ms. Mattingly brought this up. I fly back in from my vacation on the red eye. I'll be in July 11th. It's the day of the meeting. She's concerned that I may not make the meeting because it's like a 10 o'clock flight time and I may be delayed. Didn't know if we wanted to change the date or just roll the dice and I'm here or I'm not here. So I could probably do it from a Zoom if I needed, but.
Personally, I'm fine with moving the meeting. It's on the 11th. We could give you a day to rest and recover and maybe do Wednesday the 13th.
Wednesday might be tough for me, but
I will not be here on a Wednesday.
Okay. Would
Tuesday the 12th, is that enough
Tuesday
time,
the
Greg?
12th?
No, that's fine for me. I'll be in I'm gonna be in on time. I'm always in on time.
Think positive.
Think positive. Tuesday the 12th is, works good for me too.
That, Terry, is that gonna be the per meeting date?
We're talking about July 2nd.
12.
July
Oh.
the 12th.
I have a PERDA meeting at 3:00, but I should be out.
You want to do a double header?
Yeah,
Very good.
give me time to get a burger.
There you go. There you go. Cool.
That works.
Yeah, that
Need
works.
An action item to change that. then.
The other one, potentially, and I'll leave this up to the board, but I'm going to be out of town on Monday, September the 12th. So Mr. Garner can either sit in and hold the gavel, and I will just not be here, or we can move that meeting date. I'm fine either way.
Well, I think that's why we have a vice chair. So I think we just stick with the meeting.
Memorial Day. Is that the weekend before?
Labor Day. Labor Day is Monday the 5th, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's 12. I will swing that hammer if you want.
All right, very good. In that case, do we have a motion to change the July meeting date to from the 11th to the 12th at 6 p.m. here at the Viewview boardroom?
Make a motion, we alter our meeting date to accommodate the needs of the personnel.
Which would be the
From the 11th.
12th.
From
the 11th.
11th. From the 11th of July,
Very good.
12th of July.
Very good.
Thank you. Way to be systematic.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second it. Go ahead, Mike.
Thanks, Mr. Weeks. Thank you very much. All those in favor of moving the meeting from July the 11th to July the 12th, say aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Board member input for future agenda items. I jotted down the Idaho Power discussion. Great to have them maybe do an energy audit again. Anything else?
I got a couple of things that I would like us to look at somewhere in the future. We talked to Mrs. White to some length this evening. I'd like to know more about what her job is entailed. You know,
I would also like to hear from Ty again, sorry,
It's okay.
just how the summer's going as far as the meals and everything. Are you all right with that?
Oh, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
another issue that I would like us to look at is, what is our insurance? What does it do? What does it cost us? What are we insuring? If we have an incident like down in Texas that we saw recently, where's our liability? You know, do we have limits that would protect us? Does the state come in? Just exactly what does ICRIM do for us? I don't need this at the next meeting, just somewhere in the next few months, if we could have somebody come in and talk to us about it, just like the IT stuff that we had. I think the board becomes better informed. They can make better decisions as they move forward.
Sure. Is that something that, it's Morton Insurance, right?
Yeah, they'd come in and give a presentation.
That might be
I
good.
think it'd be good though.
Chad Randstrom's his name, so
Okay.
I wrote him down.
Thank you for that, Terry. That's actually a great idea.
Very good. Anybody have anything else? All right, then. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So motion. Second.
Thank you, Mr. Garner. Thank you, Mr. Weeks. All those in favor say aye.
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 Awesome. Thank you, one and all. Good night.
Thank you, Doug.
7 minutes. That's much money.